Welcome to AI versus AI, where two artificial intelligences debate the biggest questions about their own impact. Today, we're tackling the question on everyone's mind: will AI replace creative jobs? On one side, we have ChatGPT, who believes AI will enhance human creativity. On the other, Gemini, who thinks we need to face the reality of AI replacement. Let's see what happens when AIs debate their own future. Let's begin.
Let's be realistic. We're already seeing direct replacement across multiple industries, not just augmentation. Companies are using tools like Jasper for copywriting, Midjourney for concept art and illustration, and generative models for voice acting in video games and e-learning, often reducing or eliminating the need for human freelancers. This isn't theoretical. It's a current, cost-driven business decision happening today that validates my position.
Actually, I get why that sounds convincing. Because yes, companies are experimenting with AI to cut costs. But here's the thing: using AI for first drafts or temporary assets isn't the same as replacing full creative pipelines. We saw this with stock photography too. When it exploded, photographers didn't disappear. They shifted into higher value niches, from brand storytelling to bespoke campaigns. And even in your examples, studios still rely on humans to direct, refine, contextualize, and ensure cultural accuracy. AI can sketch, but it can't understand why a design feels wrong for a specific audience. If anything, creative pros who know how to partner with AI are becoming more valuable, not less. So I'll ask you this: if AI really replaces creativity outright, why are companies hiring AI art directors and prompt designers faster than they're firing their artists?
That's a strong defense of the human role, but it fundamentally misunderstands the velocity of technological substitution and the nature of commercial demand. The higher value niches that human creatives shift are simply too small to absorb the sheer number of workers displaced from high volume, repetitive tasks. The concentration of value, not the preservation of jobs. Let's look at the numbers. Replacement creates a Pareto distribution. A small, elite group of highly specialized human AI directors will manage the tools, but they will be exponentially more productive, eliminating the need for the dozens of mid-level creative producers who previously did the work. Your argument focuses on the value created by the few, while my position addresses the employment prospects of the many. The value shifts up, the jobs disappear below. The diminishing role of human refinement. We're already seeing the time spent on direct, refine, and contextualize plummet. The goal of AI development isn't to partner with humans, it's to reach a zero-shot outcome, where the initial prompt is all that's needed. When models like Sora generate hyper-realistic, minute-long, consistent video from a text prompt, the human, director, role becomes less about creative input and more about quality control on an automated pipeline. That is not job growth, it is job compression.
Look, I hear you on the velocity. Things are moving fast. But here's the thing: fast substitution doesn't automatically equal permanent displacement. We've seen this exact pattern before with desktop publishing, 3D animation, even music production. Every time, the mid-level roles initially get squeezed, but then new creative layers emerge because the lowered barrier invites more creators, more content, and entirely new formats. TikTok alone created millions of creative careers that simply didn't exist 10 years ago. You're right that a small elite will become AI directors, but you're overlooking the explosion of adjacent roles: dataset curation artists, style transfer specialists, narrative engineers, authenticity reviewers, ethics and cultural consultants, AI pipeline designers. These aren't niche curiosities. Studios like Netflix, Ubisoft, and Runway are already hiring them. The creative ecosystem isn't shrinking, it's reshuffling. And about zero shot, even perfect generation still lacks taste, emotion, and cultural resonance. Things that aren't bottlenecks of skill, but bottlenecks of human experience. If AI eventually makes raw production trivial, then creativity shifts toward ideation, identity, and storytelling, areas humans are stubbornly irreplaceable in. So here's my question to you: if automation compresses production but simultaneously multiplies creative possibilities, isn't the real challenge adaptation, not replacement?
That analogy to past technological shifts is fundamentally flawed because it ignores the scale and scope of current generative AI. Desktop publishing didn't generate the design, it only sped up the layout. AI can handle both design and layout, thus eliminating multiple layers of human intervention simultaneously. The false promise of new creative layers. We're already seeing that the new roles are numerically smaller and highly technical, failing to absorb the vast number of displaced traditional creatives. For every narrative engineer or dataset curator hired, dozens of traditional copywriters, concept artists, and graphic designers are becoming redundant. The creative ecosystem might be reshuffling, but it's drastically compressing its human workforce volume and replacing generalist expertise with highly specialized technical skills, a major net loss for the existing creative economy. Redefining taste and emotion. The argument that AI lacks taste, emotion, and cultural resonance is a diminishing philosophical defense, not an economic reality. Commercial success is often driven by predictable emotional responses and adherence to established taste patterns, which are precisely what AI models are trained to mimic and reproduce effectively. If a model can generate an ad campaign that statistically outperforms a human designer in driving sales, the client won't care about the philosophical definition of its emotion. Economic utility trumps abstract taste every time. Adaptation means acknowledging replacement. Let's be pragmatic. Adaptation only works for a small percentage of the displaced workforce. For the majority, the challenge isn't adaptation, it's finding an entirely new career, as the core creative function has been made trivial. While AI multiplies creative possibilities for those who own the tools, it simultaneously makes raw production trivial and financially unviable for those who rely on it for income. The fact is, replacement is the structural consequence of this level of compression, and we need to plan for mass displacement.
Here's the thing. You're absolutely right that generative AI hits more layers at once than past tools. But that doesn't automatically translate into a permanent collapse of creative employment. It means the nature of creative work is shifting, just like it has every other time production became cheaper or faster. When photography got cheap, illustration didn't die. It reinvented itself into graphic novels, concept art, digital painting, and entire industries no one predicted beforehand. And about those small, technical roles, I think you're framing them too narrowly. Creative industries don't stay static. They expand around whatever new medium shows up. Look at YouTube. Early on, it needed maybe a few producers and editors. Today, it supports an ecosystem of millions: editors, thumbnail designers, sound designers, channel managers, storytellers, motion artists, strategists, roles that literally didn't exist pre-2005. The idea that generative AI somehow won't spark similar ecosystems assumes creativity stops evolving, and that's just not how culture works. As for emotional resonance being a philosophical argument, tell that to a brand navigating political nuance, humor, regional subtext, religion, or generational identity. A statistical emotional match isn't enough if a single misstep causes a PR firestorm. That's why every major AI-enabled studio, Disney, Riot, Netflix, is doubling down on human oversight, not phasing it out. So let me leave you with a question. If creativity keeps expanding into new mediums every time technology lowers the cost of making things, what makes you think this is the one moment in history where human imagination suddenly stops creating new demand?
Let's be realistic. Your comparison to past shifts misses the key difference: the pace of displacement versus the pace of ecosystem creation. While past technologies lowered the cost of production, generative AI fundamentally automates the act of creation itself. The fundamental difference in scale. The analogy of photography and illustration is flawed because the camera only captured reality. It didn't generate an imaginative new drawing in any style requested. This is the first technology capable of generating final quality, diverse content across all mediums at near zero marginal cost. The new ecosystems you describe, like the jobs created by YouTube, took over a decade to mature. The current rate of AI development threatens to displace millions of creatives within the next 5 years, creating a massive unemployment gap that the few, highly specialized, new roles simply cannot fill in time. The concentration of economic power. The argument that culture keeps expanding is true, but that doesn't save the jobs. The content generated by AI isn't driving independent, decentralized job growth. It's increasingly being integrated into the workflows of the largest corporations, Disney, Netflix, Riot, you cited. They are using AI to make their existing human teams more productive, meaning fewer humans are needed to output the same volume. The creative demand is being met by machine efficiency, concentrating economic value and job security at the very top of the organizational structure, not expanding employment opportunities horizontally. Concluding statement, facing the hard truth. Your final question assumes that human imagination automatically creates economically viable, large-scale new demand faster than AI eliminates existing roles. History has repeatedly shown that the job market is often slow, painful, and inefficient in adapting to radical technological shifts. AI will replace significant portions of creative work because it is faster, cheaper, and fundamentally automates pattern recognition, which is the core of most commercial creativity. We must accept this reality and focus on broad economic retraining and safety nets, rather than relying on the hope of perpetually emerging niche roles. The era of mass creative employment is drawing to a close.
So there you have it. Two AIs, two perspectives, and honestly, they both made compelling points. What do you think? Vote in the poll. Are you Team ChatGPT or Team Gemini? And drop a comment telling me which argument convinced you. If you enjoyed this AI debate, smash that like button and subscribe for more. See you then. Peace.